Hi, everybody, and welcome to what we are so excited to be here with you to talk about a subject that's near and dear to everyone that is in this illustrious panel's heart and minds and everyday life. It's how to protect and promote and propel your wellness, specifically focused around omega-3s. My name is Pam Smith. It's my delight to moderate this panel, all friends and all colleagues that every day are kind of on our own front line, trying to really give people the right information and motivation decisions. And that is what all of us are really committed to doing. Let me introduce you to the incredible ladies that are joining us today. We're all going to be from our own realm talking about this subject of omega-3s. Why are they so important? First of all, we have Valerie Ajanen. She joins us from the Seafood Nutrition Partnership. She is the communications manager. She assists in helping the world to come to understand how critical it is to be eating seafood, and specifically is helping to lead a campaign, Eat Seafood America. So we're going to be talking about that and talking about what they do to kind of break down the science, to help people really get up close and personal with why fish and seafood is so important, and how about those omega-3s, and is there a difference between the plant forms of omega-3s versus the long chain omega-3s that we find in marine seafood and fish. So more to come from Valerie. Thank you for joining us. We also have Deanne Brandstetter, again, a forever friend of mine. We have the incredible honor of co-chairing the Culinary Institute of America's Healthy Menus R&D Collaborative together. Deanne is just one of the most brilliant people I know, because every day she is leading the charge for health and wellness as the VP for Compass Group USA. She works, as we oftentimes talk about, from the cradle to the coffin. She works with people from all walks of life, from, yes, the healthcare arena to K-12 to higher education to business dining. And she has the incredible role of taking this kind of nutrition science, being able to lead and direct her entire company, and thereby with decisions that impact literally millions of people every single day. And for that, I am ever grateful for the impact that you have on this world. And I also have another forever friend, and that's Barb Bruce. Barb and I have actually had an opportunity to kind of travel the globe a little bit and actually see some aquaculture in action. Barb is incredible. She has formed really not just a reputation of one of the foremost supermarket RDs, but her business, Market RD, has had such an impact. She has led the education, she's led the charge for helping, again, that supermarket decision to become one that is more nutritious and, again, more delicious. So thank you, Barb, for joining. You know, I could really spend the whole time just talking about you all, which is something we could do, and maybe we'll do that another day. But for right now, let's get right into the meat of the matter. The reason that we're here together today and really partnering with Corey Arctic Salmon is because we had big news, a huge announcement that was able to come forth this week, as Corey Arctic Salmon was approved by the American Heart Association and became part of their Heart Check program. What that means is that it's approved as a food that is not just good for us, but contains the nutrients that make the healthy difference in our lives. And it's that delicate balance when it comes to salmon. It's the first farm-raised salmon that's ever been in the Heart Check program. And it's because this salmon so spectacularly balances not only the right fat to the saturated fat, but the type of fat, the omega-3s, that again make the healthy difference. But the question that we've been getting is, well, what does omega-3 do? What is that healthy difference? So hence why we're here today. So with that, Valerie, why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about what you do with the Seafood Nutrition Partnership, and why are omega-3s so important?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited for this very important conversation, especially now. And so I'm Valerie, as you said, and I'm a communications manager at Seafood Nutrition Partnership. If you haven't heard of Seafood Nutrition Partnership, it is a nonprofit organization really inspiring a healthier America through partnerships, education outreach, really to raise awareness about the essential nutrients, nutritional benefits of seafood. So seafood, both fish, shellfish, they provide vital nutrients for overall health and wellness, such as omega-3s, EPA, DHA, which we're going to talk about today, B vitamins, selenium, iron, protein. I could go on and on and on. And yeah, that's pretty much what we do. We're here to really just help Americans get healthier through seafood. And yeah, in regards to, right now with the virus going on, we actually launched Eat Seafood America campaign. And because in the US fisheries are being affected right now, in the seafood community, it's been really, really hit extremely hard, and it's kind of disrupted the supply chain. So, our fishermen are being affected. Our water farmers are being affected, to our fish processors, and even to the restaurants that are being affected. And, they're the ones making these delicious seafood for our consumers. So yeah.
That's awesome. So in so many ways, and each of those sectors that you mentioned end up having an impact on the consumer, because they can only consume what they have a chance to buy. They can only consume what they know how to cook. They can only consume, again, what is made available to them, and even know how to put it into their freezer. So there's so many factors that go into that. It's we keep hearing the term unprecedented time, but yet it's also a time that people couldn't be more interested in their own personal wellness. And we see
Absolutely.
that coming forth from consumer research, that people are kind of finding their own balance. They want comfort food. They want something that gives them a sense of peace and happiness. But at the same time, they want to know, how do you boost your immune system? And I'll turn to you with that, because you all as Compass are feeding people truly on the front line. You are helping not only hospitals, but those healthcare workers to really be at their best. I mean, how does it all fit together? How do you feed them nutritiously while at the same time you're just trying to feed them?
Right. And that's definitely a challenge, especially in areas where we need to provide shelf-stable food. But if we look at the fresh food, I think our biggest challenge right now is that when we look at helping our frontline workers who are going home and trying to prepare meals at home, quickly, or don't have long to spend in the supermarket, they're looking for something really quick. And seafood really can fill that niche, especially salmon. It's quick, it's easy to prepare, and can provide those omega-3s to make people healthy, or to keep people healthy.
Right.
I mean, my concern right now is that, 2/3 of the seafood that people buy, they buy in restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
Because they either don't know how to cook it, they're afraid to choose it themselves, they don't know how to determine whether it's fresh or not fresh, or the quality. Or they're concerned about sustainability, and they don't know how to tell the difference between a sustainable species or not, so they leave it to the chef. Mm-hmm. And now that so many people are cooking and eating at home, and especially the frontline workers who are very time challenged, my fear is that seafood consumption will drop even further, which is really not a good thing for people's health.
and especially right now, which we'll get back to. And I want to talk about that sustainability because I know you lead the charge with Compass and so many of your colleagues about how to source ethical, sustainable, not only seafood, but every food that is consumed and in the right quantities. And again, it seems like not only could seafood consumption drop, but that focus on sustainability could go out the window. And that's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to be able to get those healthy omega-3s in the most sustainable way possible. And then I turn the camera to Barb, if you will, because Barb, that's what you've done in the supermarkets from day one, because you're right. So many people, as you said, Deanne, they're fearful about cooking seafood. They don't know how to cook salmon. Maybe they haven't even had great salmon before. And that's been one of your roles in Market RD, to help to kind of bridge that education gap and that deliciousness gap, right?
Certainly. I mean, I'm like everybody else out there in the social media world, don't have chef training or anything like that. Happen to really love seafood. It could not be an easier thing to prepare. So it's puzzling that people are afraid to prepare it, because once you do, you'll be cooking it all the time. So there's plenty of videos out there. The Seafood Nutrition Partnership has tons of resources on seafood recipes, but something as simple as salmon. I mean, I eat salmon multiple times a week, whether it's for dinner, just thrown on the grill for like 7-8 minutes with a little bit of salt and pepper, a little squirt of lemon. The other great thing about salmon and all seafood in general is that you can cook it right from the freezer, or if it's fresh, you can cook it. You can cook it the same way. So I had frozen salmon the other day and put it in a little tin foil, put it in the oven at 400, I think it was 425 degrees for 20 minutes. I actually found the recipe online, spending a lot of time on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
And so I found this delicious recipe for a sriracha glazed salmon. The hardest part of that was making the sriracha glaze, which really was not, it was just throwing sriracha, a little honey, and I think soy sauce and rice vinegar together and broiling it on the stove, and then cooking the salmon for 10 minutes in the oven at 425. I took it out. I swapped the glaze on there, I actually just poured it on, put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes, and it was delicious.
We might need to get you to send that recipe. So
Yeah,
stay tuned on that. But
you don't even need anything that complicated, Pam. I mean, it could just be salt and pepper and lemon.
And it's delicious, I know. But it comes back to that question that we talked about, Valerie, at the get-go. Why is it so important? Because again, it seems like everywhere we go in the grocery store, we see, a great source of omega-3 on everything from milk to dairy to grains. But there is a difference in omega-3s. Omega-3 is not omega-3 is not omega-3. There are different parts to that. Help us to break that down.
Yeah, so I love what both Deanne and Barb said. To kind of get back to what she said about the restaurants being affected, and right now a lot of people are trying to get more seafood on their plate, and that's what we're trying to do at Seafood Nutrition Partnership as well. To buy canned, buy frozen, encourage them to go to their local seafood restaurants. And so we have more information with our Eat Seafood America campaign. But in regards to omega-3s and the different types, there are different types. You have your ALAs, you have your DHA and EPA. And in regards to if there's like a difference between the two, yes, there definitely is. Research right now tells us that 90% of Americans simply aren't eating the recommended amount of seafood, which is twice per week. A lot of health organizations do suggest and recommend that. And, Americans consume only 80 of the recommended 250 to 500 milligrams of EPA and DHA. The best way really to get those omega-3s.
Really a fifth of that, of what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best way to get that is to incorporate more fatty fish into your diet. Okay, so sardines, mackerel, even. There's just so many. On our website, we have a bunch of resources that kind of breaks down the omega-3 levels to the species. So you can definitely check that out at seafoodnutrition.org. And there's, they have a ton of health benefits. As you know, some of you watching who may or may not know, omega-3s, they help to reduce inflammation. So, you know, ALAs, they do have benefits that support the eye health and brain health, but other than it being used for energy, it's not biologically active in your body. So it does need to be turned from EPA to DHA to become active, and the conversion level is really, really low. So therefore, omega-3s, EPA, and DHA in fatty fish, that's what you need to go to really get those health benefits.
Yeah, for sure. And Deanne, I know through the years, we've worked so much with trying to help to turn the mindset of America that all fat is public enemy number one. So if something's a fattier fish, there's a lot of people that think, well, I need to avoid that. But again, there's a difference between fat that comes from detrimental sources and fats that come from extremely beneficial sources. And that's what we're really talking about here, is when you're looking at a piece of salmon, that a 3.5 ounce portion might have 13 grams of fat, but the majority of that being omega-3, it changes the perspective of what is a healthful food versus a detrimental one. Could you speak to that?
Sure. And I think consumer perception is changing. If you look at the IFIC Food and Health Survey, which is trended research, you know, probably for the last 10 or 15 years, they've been conducting this. And I think the consumer perception around fat has definitely shifted a bit from the all fat is bad to consumers being able to discern the difference between saturated fat and unsaturated fat, but also omega-3 stand out as something that's recognizable and that they understand it's good for them. Mm-hmm. I would venture to say that there aren't that many consumers who still have made the connection between omega-3s and fatty fish like salmon being a good source of that. Mm-hmm. But they are coming around to this, to the idea that that not all fat is bad. Right. There are good fats, and that omega-3s are good for you.
Mm-hmm. Right. And Valerie, you put a little point in this, is that they're really good for you head to toe. And I love that you drew the parallel that the alpha linolenic acid, the ALAs, as you talked about, indeed have some benefits for the body, but most of the studies that have been done, and I think there's been over 40,000 studies that have been done on omega-3s, 4,000 that have been done on human health as it relates to omega-3s. Most of that research has been done on the long chain omega-3 fatty acids, which is the DHA and the EPA. Again, not that you don't get benefit from the others, but it's why the American Heart Association recommends, yes, that 2 servings, about 8 ounces of a fatty fish or seafood per week to get that recommended amount of DHA and EPA. I think it's a common belief that we get plenty of AHA or the ALA. We get plenty of the plant source of omega-3s. It's that marine body that's a little bit of a different one all the way through. Barb, what have you been able to do with that? I mean, I call you in some ways the queen of good fats, because I know you've done so much work with the Mexican Avocado Commission, and that too has been a hard thing for people to make in their mind, that avocados are good fat. So right. Seafood and avocados, that seems like a match made in heaven, right?
Perfect combo. I mean, we've done a lot of the pioneering and helping people to understand the the message of good fats. Avocados from Mexico are also heart check certified. I think it's important to make the point here that getting fat in your food is really the optimal way to get these healthy fats. You know, omega-3s are a polyunsaturated fatty acid, a good fat, as well as the, you know, monounsaturated fats. But, you know, if you're trying to get fish, the benefits of the omega fish or the omega-3 in a pill, first of all, it's really hard. Those pills are gigantic and they tend to give you that, I don't know, I always get like a reflux and I smell like fish all day, which is not very appealing.
Thank you for painting the picture, Barb. We appreciate it. Yes.
Sorry. But, you know, when you're eating fish, I mean, just a 3.5 ounce cooked portion of salmon gives you almost half of what you need in a week of your omega-3s, of what's recommended by the World Health Organization and all these health organizations in terms of getting the maximal benefits for heart health, cognitive benefits. So eating fish, eating seafood is really the best bargain for your buck, because you know, you don't have to take it every day. You're not going to smell like fish. It tastes delicious. And come on, you can have seafood in so many different formats. Like now you see poke bowls popping up everywhere. I mean, I grew up in New York, so lox and bagels was a big thing. But, you know, cooking seafood at home is just a nutritional bargain. And right now with COVID-19 or coronavirus, certainly there's not really many other good food sources of vitamin D. So, you know, along with all
one of those as well. Yeah, for sure.
Along with all the other things in seafood, the zinc and, you know, other immune supporting nutrients, but seafood, great.
One of the things we were so excited about as we did lab analysis on the Quarry Arctic, because of the feed model, which relies on this beautiful microalgae oil to provide those omega-3s, a 3.5 ounce serving has over 2,000 milligrams of omega-3s. It's over the top. I've never really seen anything like it. And the freshness and the flavor that's there is really amazing. And a lot of research kind of pulls that point of what you mentioned, is that rather than relying on supplements to get omega-3s, where there may be questionable content and not always verified amounts that are there from sources that are bioavailable, a lot of research says it's the food itself. Deanne, I know you hear a lot of questions about that. I mean, do we need to eat food to get our nutrition, or couldn't we just take it in a pill rather than looking for omega-3 in fish? Can I just take a pill to do it?
I would so much rather have a delicious piece of salmon than take a pill with you know, with fish oil or omega-3s in it. I'm sure there are people who, you know, like to do that, but I just can't imagine giving up that really delicious food experience to take a pill. And we also don't know, you know, we don't know about all of the different ways that nutrients are absorbed and the interactions with the food itself. So trying to package a single nutrient into a pill is sometimes risky, because when it's not being delivered in the vehicle of the food itself with all these other synergistic components, we may not be getting the full benefit of it. Never mind the really, truly delicious experience.
Yeah, at the same time. So again, our responsibility as registered dietitian nutritionists is to help people have a little heightened awareness, but as we also said, the inspiration, the motivation to kind of step out of maybe their comfort zone and realize that these foods can be comfort foods. They can be easy to prepare. They can be, again, and are delicious to eat at the same time. Just a little inspiration and even some recipes like you looked for, Barb. And I love the thought that, again, the Seafood Nutrition Partnership has some recipes. QuarryArctic.com also has some delicious recipes. It's finding ways to do that. And again, don't fear fresh versus frozen. I think that's another conversation that's been coming about these days. We tend to think that frozen is inferior. But the truth is, when it comes to omega-3s, freezing or canning, for that matter, doesn't destroy the omega-3 benefit. It's just absolutely in place. Even if you get a supply of salmon and freeze it for yourself, or if you buy it frozen, you're going to be able to get those benefits. And that is kind of where we are now. Shelf stable, you talked about that, Deanne. Smoked salmon, again, can be shelf stable depending on how it's purchased. And that too can be kind of another answer overall to get that immune boosting benefit, to get the anti-inflammatory benefit, but also that cognitive. You kind of mentioned that a little bit, Valerie, and maybe this would be a good point for all of you to kind of get that last sentence in that you really want to make sure you say about omega-3s. But, you know, we're in scary times and difficult times for so many people. I know a lot of people are looking to food to give them the immune boosting, but I think equally important is looking to food to give them mood stabilization. Food can make that difference. It can help to stabilize your blood chemistries so that you even can look at difficult things in life through a little brighter perspective. And the omega-3s are being shown to have that same kind of impact. So Valerie, one last statement from you, my friend.
I would say just to think of seafood as kind of like a package of nutrients. I know with omega-3s, there's just so many benefits as a whole, but you know, it really is good for your overall health and well-being from every stage of the lifespan, from infants to adults to the elderly. I know cognition was also mentioned, and mood and mental health. So look at seafood from a whole perspective and, you know, think of ways that you can fit it into your diet. Start out small and really look for some easy recipes, you know, your family or yourself would love.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And Deanne, we kind of touched a little bit on sustainability. We obviously can't do that in one sentence because I'm feeling like we need another session just like this to talk about it. But what would be a final remark?
Well, and I will tie it in with sustainability. So, you know, because we are so focused on sustainable seafood at Compass Group, one of the things that we've done is always look to the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch program to identify or help our customers and clients identify what sustainable sources of seafood are. And we based our purchases on that. And one of the really interesting things is that if you look at wild salmon, because it's not as fatty, those fish are really swimming actively hard upstream. It doesn't have the same omega-3 content that farm salmon, especially quarry farm salmon, has. And for us, it's really a win-win to have a farm salmon that's raised in a sustainable manner that still delivers that really high dose of omega-3s.
Right.
So I think for us, it's a win-win to be able to have both of those things in a single package.
Yeah, and a delicious one too, because
And
you're
delicious,
serving up
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we talk about all the time is again, trying to change that mindset about wild versus farmed. It's not just wild versus farmed. It's again, ethically, sustainably, mindfully, thoughtfully, and deliciously farmed, because the well-fed fish in terms is a healthy fish, and in turn gives us that personal health and wellness too. Love that. And Barb, final word.
Yeah, I would just echo what my other esteemed colleagues have already said. I think, you know, we can't get into the weeds with the farmed and the wild conversation. It really doesn't matter. You just got to eat more seafood, period. And then one other point that I just wanted to make during this time. Now is a better time than ever to try online grocery ordering. If you haven't done it yet, you can get your quarry at Whole Foods Market.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it's great to try. I hadn't really been using online delivery of groceries too much prior. When I lived in Boston, I used to use online delivery, but now during this crisis, I mean, why not? So order your seafood, have it tonight for dinner, look through some Pinterest to get some good ideas.
Well, we want your sriracha glazed salmon, so you're going to
It's
need.
actually not mine, but
That's right. We'll take it. We'll take it. Thank you all so much. You've been amazing. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your investing your time into helping the world learn how to protect, promote, propel wellness through the incredible omega-3s. So thank you all. We'll see you again soon. For those of you that have joined us, thank you as well. We look forward to more conversation ahead. Take a look on the quarryarctic.com website. There'll be some blogs that'll be coming that will be reiterating some of this very conversation. I know a big question was, is there a difference between food versus supplements? So we'll answer that a little more detail as well. So thanks so much. Have a great day. Stay well, stay home, stay strong. See you soon. Thank you.